Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're all welcome to today's virtual learning exchange webinar on connecting farmers and markets in local food systems. Today we'll be hearing from two cities, Butuan in the Philippines and Rourkela in India. Kindly note that the meeting will be recorded and participants can use the chat option to make comments and ask questions. I'm Catherine Adidwaji-Dogbe and I'll be your moderator for this session. To begin, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. We have with us Berwin, the Project Supervisor, Global Mayors Challenge, Rourkela, India, and Brenda Dimas, the Project Supervisor, Global Mayors Challenge, Butuan. They will be presenting to us their various projects. Berwin will present on the project, Empowering Farmers and Women Self-Help Groups through the provision of solar-powered cold storage units. Following his presentation, I'll call on Brenda to raise some follow-up questions to help us dive deeper into the topic. You are kindly reminded to leave your questions and comments in the chat. Berwin, over.
Good evening, good morning, all of you. I would like to welcome you all to the city of Rourkela. City of Rourkela is a city in the state of Odisha. It's in the eastern part of India. The city is a mix of urban and rural population, where the urban people are working with the industries, and we have farmers on the outskirts of city. And here in the city, we are developing cold rooms for the farmers so that they can increase the shelf life of their vegetables and reduce distress selling. We are developing 5 of these cold rooms across 5 markets. And another unique thing about the project is that these cold rooms will be operated by women self-help group members who will be trained on how to operate the cold rooms. Currently, the farmers in Rourkela have got 2 options when they to sell their vegetable produces. At first, they rely on middlemen who come to their farmland to buy the vegetables. Since they are small-scale farmers, they don't have the power to negotiate, and they are given a very low value to the produce by these middlemen. And being small scale, they don't have access to bulk buyers to sell their produces. The second option is that these farmers come to the urban city where we have designated marketplace for the farmers to sell the vegetables. So it could be a weekly market, bi-weekly market, or daily market. So these farmers come to the city, stay there for the whole day, and sell off the vegetables to residential customers. But the problem is that by the end of the market day, these farmers are forced to sell off the producers at a lower rate than the market price, because these farmers don't have an option to store their vegetables for the next day. And taking it back to their villages is also not economically feasible. So our pilot survey says that around 83% of the farmers and vendors who were part of the survey told that lack of the storage option is the reason that they have to sell the produce at a lower rate. If you look at the vegetables like cabbage and tomato, they have been sold at a price 20 to 40% less than the market price, because they don't have a place to store their produces. And also the vegetable market is prone to price volatility. Depending upon the supply and demand, the price varies within a day and also within the week. So if farmers have an option to store their vegetables, they can de-risk. They don't have to risk the sell the produce at a lower rate. And also when you look at the other cold rooms in the country and in the state, they have got high operating costs, mainly because of the power. The power rates are high, and they have got high operating costs because of the high power cost. To solve these problems, the Rourkela city, along with UNDP, have developed solar-powered cold rooms. So the first pilot site is already operating. And in these cold rooms, farmers can come and keep their vegetables. So on the left side, you can see our first pilot site. So this is entirely solar powered, And we have got cold rooms of 30 metric ton capacity. Each of these, we have got 3 chambers, each chambers for different temperature, like 5 degrees Celsius, above 5, about 10 degrees Celsius. And yeah, in this picture, you could see the farmers are checking in their vegetables. So these women self-help group members help them to check in. We record all the data, like what type of vegetable, how much quantity, and same is done when they check out the producer. So we have data on what is being stored. And on the left-hand side, you could see a building. This building is called Common Facilitation Center building. So this building acts as an office for the women members, and also it acts as a shop for selling vegetables and other products made by the women of the city and of the state. So we are expecting that around 120 to 160 farmers to use a single cold room. So once all the 5 projects are online, we'll be able to reach out to around 600 farmers. The second action, what the city is doing, we are providing training and handholding support to the women members who will be operating the cold rooms. So these are women members operating the pilot site. There are 6 members who are operating the site. When you look at the background, these members were previously doing preparing snacks, which they sell to different shops and temples. So operating cold room, maintenance of the solar, electric rickshaw, everything is a new thing for them. So we have given them theoretical learning. And also, since the cold room is operating, we have a project member who are always with them, hand-holding them. Whenever they face some challenges, the project team is there to support them. So we have not left them alone after the project started, but we continue to provide them technical support while they learn how to operate the cold room. So each of this cold room directly employs 5 to 6 women. So in total, we'll be able to reach out. We'll be employing around 25 to 30 women members. The third action, what we do is that, as I told before, conventional cold rooms have got high operating costs. And here we are trying to reduce the operating expenses by using solar power, completely powering the cold rooms by solar power, and using electric rickshaws for transporting vegetables from the cold room to the consumers. And also for the first few months, we are providing them financial support. So the women members can learn and operate the cold room sustainably in a technical way. And to give them, we are giving them financial support. So this is the electric rickshaw we have been talking about. So we have got 2 rickshaws for each of the cold rooms. Their main purpose is to transport the vegetables from the cold room to bulk institutions like hotels, canteens, who would buy the vegetables and fruits from our cold room. And also on a trial run, we are transporting vegetables to city residents. So that has also been welcomed a lot by the city residents. They like this. They were not having this opportunity before, like delivering the vegetables to their doorstep. And the proposed price for the farmers who keeps the vegetable in the cold room is around 3 rupees per crate of vegetable, per 25 kilogram of vegetables, which is a very minimal amount. And when we compare to the other cold room prices, it is just half of it. And the final solution or the action what we are doing, and an important one, is linking the cold room with bulk institution, which will provide wider market access to farmers. So we are linking the cold room with hotels, canteens, and colleges. So currently we have done market survey of around 120 institutions. So we have collected their demand data, like what vegetable they need, at what point of season, what point of day. So we have this data, and we are trying to set up contracts with them so that our women members can sell vegetables, buying from the farmers on a bulk quantity to these institutions, thereby increasing the demand for vegetables from the farmers. So here on this picture, you could see how our women members are sorting and packing the vegetables. So they make sure that they give quality produce to the consumers. So they pack it, label it properly so that they reach the correct consumers. So the main focus group for our project are the farmers. So we propose that by 2025, we can increase their revenue by income by 60% from what they currently earn, mainly through market linkages, as I've explained, connecting them to bulk buyers like hotels and canteens, and also reducing their wastage. So since they have cold room, they can keep the vegetables in the cold room, increase the shelf life, and they don't have to sell it at a lower market value or throw away them. Our second focus group are the women members. As I've explained before, we will be employing around 25 women members. So we are providing them training, and so they are financially empowered, socially empowered, and technically empowered to operate the cold room. These are the project partners who are supporting us in the project implementation. So Rourkela Municipal Corporation is the city who is the project owner. So they are responsible for engaging the self-help group and also providing administrative approvals for construction and monitoring of the entire project. Then we have the district horticulture department, that is the agriculture department. So they help us to connect with farming clusters. And as the project progresses, we are planning on production planning and vegetable production planning and so on. So they will be helping us with that. And then we have got farmer producer organizations. So they will be responsible for connecting us with the farmers and their villages. So within our program, our project team members goes to villages and educate them about the usage of cold room, how much shelf life they can increase by having the cold room, and so on. So we are creating awareness among the farmers also to come to the cold room, see the cold room, and then use it. When we look at the challenges right now we are facing, one of the challenges is that, as I told before, these women members are coming from a different background. So they lack the skill set and the knowledge for operating the cold room and marketing, connecting with the bulk institutional buyers. So what we have done is that we have given them a 12-module training covering financial aspects, management aspects, how to operate the cold room, maintenance, and so on. So that training is being given. And also we are providing them hands-on training. And as I told, we are monitoring them. And one of our project team members are always with them to whenever there are any challenges for them. The second challenge is an infrastructure challenge, like the power supply, which we are receiving. It is a little bit erratic and voltage fluctuations are there. So for the coming 4 cold rooms, we are proposing to have off-grid solar powered cold rooms powered by off-grid solar power. And also these cold rooms will have thermal ice storages. So even if they don't have power for one day, this thermal ice packs will provide cooling for 24 hours. So this is the mitigation strategy we have for erratic power supply. So what is next? So as I told, our first cold room is completed and it has been operating since 1.5 months. It has been well received by the farmers and vendors. So they have started keeping vegetables in them. And women self-help group members are also happy and they are operating the cold room well. And from our project team, we are giving them guidance on how to operate it. And we are monitoring, we are collecting data on what type of vegetables, what type of fruits have been kept in the cold room, and we are trying to improve our processes. And in the coming year, by 2024 January, we are hoping to operate our next 4 cold rooms. The feasibility study is completed and procurement for the cold rooms are going to start soon. Thank you so much. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Berwin. Thank you so much for your insightful presentation. The presentation has undoubtedly enriched our understanding of the work you are doing. I just want to remind all participants that you can leave your questions in the chat box. Thank you. Brenda, I think as you have also been working with farmers, you've been working closely with farmers. I'm sure you do have some comments or questions for Berwin.
Thank you, Catherine. So we are also working with farmers and with vendors here in Butuan City, and it's very interesting what you have presented. I was just wondering, like, with the advent of the cold rooms, as well as the availability of the rickshaw, how was the consumers' reaction in terms of the quality of the product being delivered to them? Like, what were their feedback on it?
Right. So, regarding the feedback from the consumer. So I also had visited one of the consumers, and what they were saying that they were very happy with the service, basically, like delivery service, because most of them are like working from home and they don't have an option to go out to the market to select properly. Like, so it's like a big, like 1 hour to roam around the market and buy the vegetables. So with this in place, our women members are making sure that they are given quality produces, and they were very happy with the quality of vegetables that has been given to them, and also very happy with the service. So he was telling, I was looking for this kind of service, and very happy to have it. And he has been ordering for the last 5 to 6 times once we have started, and it's a positive note what we have received from the residents. And when you look at the beneficiaries of the cold room, basically the farmers and vendors, so they're also enthusiastic about the project. As I've told before, we have this cold room awareness program. So we welcome them to the cold room. They see what is happening, how the cold room operates, and so they have been keeping their fruits and the vegetables in our cold room. Yeah, we are slowly picking up the capacity utilization. So out of 30 metric ton, right now we have filled more than 8 metric ton of are being filled. So this shows that industry is slowly building up.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And just a follow-up question as well. Like you mentioned that you have consumers and users that really buy from via the cold room system. So how do they bring their orders to it? Do they text them, or do they have like a hotline number to call, or a web page to set their orders?
We have got, right now they are using WhatsApp. So they send their demand, like what they want, how much quantity, to our women self-help group members. Right now it's being channelized through WhatsApp. I think as it progresses, we are hoping to transfer to an application and so on. Right now it's through WhatsApp. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Berwin, and that's very enlightening. So I think I don't have any more questions, Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda, for the thought-provoking questions, and to Berwin for throwing more light on your project. We'll now call on Brenda Dimas, the project supervisor for the Global Mayors Challenge, Butuan, to present on the project Strengthening Local Food Production by Improving Market Access. Brenda, over.
Thank you, Catherine. On behalf of the city government of Butuan, I'm very honored to share with you with the city's initiative to strengthen the local food production system by improving access of farmers to market. And this is through our project, the AgriBoost project, an innovative and inclusive agribusiness ecosystem. So with the project, we hope to transform the vegetable value chain here in Butuan to make it more competitive. But how did we started with this project? So the city realized that the vegetable market prices in Butuan compared to other nearby cities and even municipalities is relatively higher. And also we can only feed less than 20% of our total population. So we realized that there's really a strong need to address the vegetable shortage here in Butuan. Now, when we dig deeper, we also noticed that only 400 out of the 12,000 farmers in Butuan actually produce vegetables. And as a result, we have a locally produced vegetable supply that is low and costly for consumers. When the city investigated further on this one, out of the several factors contributing to this, we found out that there are actually three factors that really influence this. Number one is that farmers don't have access to adequate support in terms of production and financial support. And they also don't have adequate knowledge and information. And because of this inadequate information, they are susceptible to very disadvantageous farm gate prices and even pricing volatility. And because of this, farmers are discouraged. They're not incentivized to produce for long term or to produce in bulk or to scale up their operation. So the city believed that if we are able to address this concern, not only we are able to increase the local supply of vegetables in Butuan, but we can also address two sustainable development goals of the United Nations. So the first one would be zero hunger, and the second is responsible consumption and production. Because the project aims that by 2025, we will increase the average farmer's income and also increase the consumption of vegetable-based dishes here in Butuan. So how do we aim to address this one? So herein comes in the AgriBoost project of Butuan City. So the AgriBoost project looks at the entire vegetable value chain. So we look at the specific segments of the value chain, and also on the entire chain as a whole. So we have 4 actions or components that will address. The first 3 will look at the specific segments of the value chain. The first, action 1, is the agri-bloom component, and it will focus on providing support to our producers in the production side. So increase the access of our farmers to production support, and also to improve the capacity of our farmers to really produce in a scientific manner our vegetables. And the second action or our second component is the Agri-Hub. Herein, we are trying to provide a digital platform to link up our producers as well as our markets. So in the digital platform, they're able to initiate contracts and transactions. And we are also providing a physical platform to really realize or fulfill those commitments or those transactions. The third one focuses on the marketing aspect of the vegetable value chain. So that's the Agri-Mart component. And herein, we link our Agri-Hub and Agri-Bloom to the markets. So it could be institutional buyers, it could be retailers or vendors or hotels and restaurants. But not only that, we're also improving the capacity of our markets to value add to our vegetable produce. And lastly, we have the AgriBoost Comms, which looks at the entire vegetable value chain, and it focuses on engaging our stakeholders from the farmer side to the processor to our market channels, and to ensure also that lastly, the consumers will really patronize and would really be enticed to consume more vegetables, not only to support the project, but really for the personal well-being of the Butuan consumers. So how does all of this really link up with each other? So everything starts with the Agri-Mart. So here in our partner market channels, either the vendors, the retailers, institutional buyers, or the hotels and restaurants will indicate the quality and the type and the quantity and the time of the vegetables that they want to be delivered to them. And they will do that using our Agri-Mart mobile app. Now, the Agri-Mart mobile app is linked to our Agri-Hub web application, and the Agri-Hub operator, which is a third-party social enterprise, will process this information and validate it. And once this information is validated, they will forward a market agreement to our Agri-Mart partners to really formalize the transaction. Afterwards, this information will be consolidated and then forwarded to our Agri-Bloom partners, which are the farmers, the verified farmers, and they will also see this information through the Agri-Bloom mobile app. And in the Agri-Bloom mobile app, the farmers will have the opportunity to select the kind, the type, the quantity, and the quality, as well as when they want to deliver the product, the vegetables. And once they commit through the app, Then the AgriHub will generate also the supply agreement to really formalize the transaction. So what we are trying to do here is to transform the relationship with the farmers to contract growing so that they are secure that they have a market for their products at the end of the day. So all of this are conducted using our enterprise resource planner. So it's our information technology system that really links up all of these activities all together, and it makes for easier decision making on the part also of the manager of the AgriHub facility or the AgriHub operator. Now, the AgriBoost comms also comes into play all throughout the value chain. So they continuously interact with and energize our consumers as well as our communities and stakeholders through information dissemination and updates in our social media pages and the city's very own teleradio. We're also linking up to have School on the Air to cascade more information and education to our stakeholders. And we continuously conduct community and sectoral discussion or open forums to really cascade information to everyone. So what we have done and what we are currently doing is we are running the dry run of the AgriBoost project. And during the dry run, we realized, and the city realized, that we cannot completely accomplish the aims of the project on our own. That's why we have partnered with national government agencies as well as academic institutions to access resources for capacity development of our stakeholders as well as access to facilities. We also partnered with private companies, in particular seed companies, to access advanced products and technologies that we can introduce to farmers. And we are also partnering with local retailers and food establishments because these are potential market channels for our fresh produce. So how does this partners work with the AgriBoost project? So they provide us with both backward resource support and forward market linkages. So these agencies, government agencies, academic institution, and private sector provide us with technical support and capacity development for our farmers. They also provide us infrastructure support and technology tools and equipment for our AgriHub operator. And they also provide learning and growth opportunities, technical assistance, and stimulus package for our AgriMart partners. Okay, so where we are now at the project is for the AgriBloom. Since we are working with farmers, we are continuously monitoring their production areas. We wanted to provide them also with sound technical advice. If they have problems with their fields, we, together with the agriculture extension worker of the city government's city agriculture's office, we provide that to them. We also organize the AgriBoost Farmer Field School, wherein our farmers are taught with evidence-based and scientific production practices. And they also have an opportunity to try out what they learn in class on the fields right directly in their training area. For the AgriHub, we also partner with the Gawad Kalinga Community Development Foundation Incorporated, our interim AgriHub operator. So it's a foundation, and we are working with them to polish our processes in the AgriHub. So we are learning how to improve the quality and to maintain the quality of the vegetables and how to improve the quality of our service delivery. With the AgriMart also, we are working with several institutions, but one particular is the Butuan Vendors and Consumers Cooperative, wherein we established together with them a market stall, Veggie Fresh, wherein all Butuan residents can buy the vegetables produced by local farmers and processed via the AgriHub. And lastly, in partnership with Father Saturnino Orios University, we developed and hosted the AgriBoost Culinary Show to really feature or showcase different alternative dishes that can be prepared solely through our using vegetables. And we wanted this to be taken up by our partner institutions of the hotels and restaurants. And we are very pleased that one of our partners, Bun Gusto, decided to integrate some of the menu into their dishes, some of the dishes into their menu. But as we are working through the project, we have stumbled several challenges. And one major challenge we encountered is the non-delivery of committed vegetables by our farmers. So there are instances that farmers really reported losses in their yields. So what we learned from that is that we really have to follow up and validate the site of the farmers, not only during planting stage, but really on the growing stage. and to provide as much as possible any technical advice that they would need. We also encountered slow processing time at the AgriHub facility because we don't have sufficient equipment and tools. And because of that, we are procuring additional vegetable processing line, equipment, and tools. And lastly, as our volume capacity has increased, especially the yields of the farmers has improved drastically, we realized that our current market channels are no longer able to absorb the surplus production of our farmers. So the team is rigorously expanding our markets now to ensure that we really have adequate support or adequate access to market for our vegetable produce. So what are we going to do next? So firstly, we wanted to really gradually scale up the operation. So we are at the dry run stage right now. We started at the last week of March at around 1 ton, and we are now at around 5 to 6 tons. We wanted to scale up the operation so that we can see how will the system really react to a bigger volume. So we're doing that by encouraging our current farmer partners to increase their production commitment. And also we're engaging more and more farmers, and we are also expanding our market channels. Nonetheless, we don't want to sacrifice our quality. So aside from scaling up operation, we're also improving our processes. So we are currently refurbishing our pilot AgriHub facility to make it more conducive for vegetable processing. And we are also providing for more efficient processing tools and equipment. And we are constantly observing our processes to ensure that we improve or maintain our quality control standards, and we maintain the quality of product that we provide to our consumers. And lastly, we are constantly analyzing, especially the early outputs and outcomes. So we wanted to scale up the project, and we want this project to stand alone by the end of 2025. So we are constantly collecting and processing the feedback from our farmers and also their experience so that we can also improve how we do things. And the best practices, we also document that and promote it. Like, for example, there's a farmer that is doing pretty well with his production. We ask him how he does it so that we can also share that with his fellow farmers. And lastly, we continuously collect and analyze market data to ensure that the pricing strategy that we use is still reflective of what is really going on in the real market. So we're hoping by the end of 2025 that the project can transition on its own, and it would really help the entire city of Butuan as we try to address the low sufficiency level in terms of vegetables here in Butuan City. And that's it for me. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Back to you, Catherine.
Many thanks, Brenda, for your informative and enlightening presentation. At this point, I'd like to give the floor to Berwin to also ask some questions or make some comments if he has any. Thank you, Berwin.
Hi, Brenda. Yeah, I think our projects are very much similar, but only the context is different. Yeah, you said the people don't eat vegetables much there, I believe.
Culturally, yeah, we're not.
But yeah, in Rourkela,
right.
but people love vegetables. That's one of the main dishes we have. And we are also trying to implement this, the backward planning you have with the farmers. So I was wondering, like, how is it done? Like, how is the price being set? And you said they sometimes don't deliver what they've committed. Do you have any penalty for them? Yeah.
Yeah, so with regards to the first question, so initially as I mentioned earlier, we get the orders from the markets beforehand. So we consolidate that, and before the farmers can even plant, they already have that information. So they have it's under discretion if they want to produce that crop. And once they commit to produce that crop, that's when the team from the City Agriculture's office and from the project will constantly monitor their fields to really ensure that they can deliver. So what happened at the early part of this year was there was inclement, very extreme weather. So we didn't expect that we expect some losses, but we didn't expect a significant losses in the yields of the farmers. And so right now, since we are still at the trial stage, we really explain also to our partner market channels, the vendors, and even the restaurants that since we're still trying to adopt to this ecosystem as well as to change behavior, we don't want to penalize them first. or to impose penalties, because this is also a change in the way they do things. They're used to just planting what they want without any target market at the end of the day. So, but now they have already a commitment to produce a particular crop based on the orders. So, aside from the extreme weather that we experience, we also explain to our markets that there is a possibility that the farmers will not be able to adapt immediately the kind of behavioral change that we want also to institutionalize through the project. And we have seen from the very start until up to now that the farmers that have stayed consistently, historically, they were able to meet their commitments. Like the drop would be like roughly just 10%. So, but there's still a few special ones that we really have to be rigorous about in terms of monitoring. So the data that we have allows us to really select how we deal with each kind of farmer in terms of how they adapt to the processes of the project. So in terms of pricing, you mentioned, we already set a production, we have a production plan, and we have attached to that the price of the production, and then we have our business model was anchored based on the actual production cost of the farmer to ensure that during the price, when instances that the prices are very low, they're still not affected because they're guaranteed a price. But if there are instances, yes, we're trying to provide for a very stable price to the farmers to protect them, to shield them. But there are instances that there are significant price volatility at the market. So we do adjust. So that's a case-to-case basis, but we don't adjust it significantly because we wanted to make sure that it's also not losing on the part of the vendors but also not losing on the part of the farmers. The good thing is our institutional buyers are not very particular with the price. So even if they say like the price in the market is significantly lower, since they have committed to buy from us already, and we have established that relationship already for, let's say, for the last 3 months, they have still been consistently ordering from us. So, and that's a good thing. So I think the trick here is to really balance the kind of market that we are supplying to, one that is very price conscious and one that is really more onto quality.
Right. And that matters. Yeah. That's why we are also looking at hotels or who would be able to, support in that regard also.
That's right. Yes.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Berwin.
you. Thank you, Brenda and Berwin, for sharing your unique perspectives and contributing to our collective knowledge this morning, afternoon or evening. Just a reminder to participants that they could still put their questions up in the chat box. We are now taking questions from participants. The presenters can also address points made by other presenters at this time. We'll start with Hawa and then move on to Seth. Hawa, over.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and thank you, Brenda and Berwin. Now, knowing when to plant vegetables is essential if you're looking to grow your own edibles. So my question is, how do you get the farmers to grow vegetables throughout the year without having a break wherein they'll complain of not having enough to sustain themselves when it's not during the planting season? I also want to know from both Brenda and Berwin, because earlier Berwin mentioned that they're working with over 100 farmers per cold room in a particular market. How do you select those farmers to work with? And that's the same as well for Brenda, wherein there are over 4,000 or 12,000 farmers in the Philippines. How do you get to select the farmers that you're working with? Is there a criteria or criterion for each farmer or any farmer that you're actually working with? Those are the questions I have for now.
Should I start first or?
Yeah, Brenda, please. Yeah. You can start.
Okay, so the first question was regarding how do we encourage the farmers to plant vegetables, right? So basically, at the start of the project, the city also provide production support, so in terms of fertilizers and seeds to the farmers, as well as the technical support. So that's one of the means that we use to encourage them to plant specific crops. Well, we don't really force them to plant specific crops. As I mentioned, once they see or it's flashed or presented at the AgriBloom mobile app, they actually have the option to choose which crop they want to produce. And if they do so, they can reach out to the city agriculture's office to have access to these vegetables, planting materials for this. And since we're also encouraging them to use good agricultural practices, we're also providing them with production support, farm inputs that like trellising nets, mulching film, so that they can really improve their production processes. But we're also leveling up to them that we wanted to gradually wean them off from support so that they can really stand on their own. But for now, we understand that they cannot support themselves financially, so we are here to support them. So I forgot the second question. I think it's how do we select the farmers, right? So here in the city of Butuan and also in the Philippines, every farmer is required to register to our national system for farmers. But with the AgriBoost project, we are very selective with the first batch of farmers that we considered or we enrolled to the project. Last year, we conducted the Farmer Field School, which was participated by 120 farmers all over Butuan. And out of the 120 farmers, we identified those who really shown early adopter behavior, because we know that if we tap into these individuals, then they would be very optimistic and supportive of the project. So these are the first few that we invited to participate, and they're very supportive and very keen to participate, especially that the project is at its early stages and we're just testing it out. And right now, since we are again conducting another batch of Farmer Field School, we are expecting that this batch also will join with the project. So we hope that we don't have to require training in terms of Farmer Field School in order to enroll a farmer, but currently that's one of our main not really main requirement, but that's one of the measures that we use, or one of the criteria that we use. And definitely the availability of land and the suitability of their land to produce such crops. So in the AgriBloom mobile app, if they chose to produce a select crop, so the city agriculture's office will validate actually the field and confirm if that field is really suited for that particular crop. So before they commit, we still validate it. And if it's not suitable, then we still have the opportunity to decline, because we wanted to maintain consistency and we wanted to safeguard the reputation of the project. So we wanted to avoid those commitments that are not fulfilled at the end of or during harvest period.
And as Rourkela is concerned, like we haven't limited like which all farmers or vendors could use our cold room. So currently our cold rooms are in the market, not in the farm supply side. So we are in the market, and this market has close to 400 farmers and vendors. So our cold room is open to them. Yeah, so but so far what we have seen is like we are expecting that around 100 farmers or vendors would be using the cold room. So in the current pilot project, so we have just started like 1 month. So we have around 20 farmer or vendors using the cold room. So, and we are almost less than 10%. We have 30% usage now. So in that sense, we will be able to reach out to 100 also farmers as the project continues. Yes, Haba?
Yeah, those are the questions I have for now.
Yeah.
Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Hawa, for those questions. I'll now move on to Seth.
Thank you, Catherine, and thanks, Berwin and Brenda, for those really insightful and interesting presentations on the project. My questions centered around the sustainability of the projects. And for Rourkela, I think in one of the solutions you described, training and handholding the women to give them the technical and management skills to be able to manage and the cold room operations. Now I'm thinking post 2025, how are the small scale women organized? How are they organized? Are they set up as a cooperative? And what measures are you putting in place so that post 2025 they'll be able to handle that training component so that we can ensure that the sustainability of the project is realized. And then similarly for Brenda and for Butuan, I'm particularly interested in the AgriHub component of the AgriBoost. I think it's interesting you've managed to inculcate digital components and those market linkages in the project throughout. And for the AgriHub, there's a digital platform, and I think there's a physical component. So what are you doing to build up the skills of the farmers themselves? Are they also involved in the management of the platform or in the implementation? What are you doing to ensure that post 2025 again, that component will still be able to run successfully? Over.
Yeah, so in case of Rourkela, so at this point, yeah, as you told, sustainability of the project is the most important thing. And right now we are providing them with the hand-holding support. So those support itself is a kind of training for them so that they can take over after we leave the project. So right now the support we give is also like kind of hands-on training. So we have a person at the cold room with them who would provide guidance and not do their stuff. So we are at the back stage and they are at the front stage, meeting with the farmers and the marketing also to the bulk institutions. And yeah, so that's the thing. So hand-holding support is being given. Also, the financial support is also given. So we have already told them that the financial support is only for quite few months. And you should be in a position to market and increase the revenue of the cold room such that your salary, the maintenance and everything is covered by the revenue from the cold room. So that idea is already inculcated to them that, okay, we will be leaving you, or yeah, but for the current starting stage, we are with you financially and technically. But so that is the main part. Like we have told them that, and we are giving them the training also to that. So the project would move sustainably. That we've already calculated like how much would be the cost in terms of how, the payment to the workers and also the maintenance and so on. So the numbers are already in their mind and they're working towards that. So whenever we meet them, we motivate them, okay, we should increase the revenue such that we meet these targets. So this idea is being told to them. Thank you.
All right. So in regards to the AgriHub facility, as you've asked earlier, Seth, so in terms of the digital platform, so it's actually developed by the city and it's going to be owned by the city. So only the operation of the platform will be provided or will be handed over to the AgriHub operator, but it still be co-managed and co-owned by the city. In terms of the development of the entire platform itself, from the mobile apps until the web app, we have really engaged the farmers from the very beginning because we wanted to be as responsive and as conducive to them as much as possible. So from the very start of the project, during the inception stage, we really engaged the farmers already as well as the market channel partners. In terms of, we're also constantly collecting feedback from them on how we can better improve the mobile app as well as the web app currently. But in terms also of their information or how the uptake on the mobile app, so we actually conduct digital literacy trainings for them, and we are hoping also to develop like a user manual as well as a video platform that will walk them through the process. But nonetheless, if they really indicated that they have difficulty accessing the app, the team from the city government's office, because the project, though we wanted to be a standalone project, will still be helped or assisted by the city. So the team from the city governments, particularly on the part of the farmers, the city agriculture's office will continuously assist the farmers in terms of learning more on how to use the app. In terms of managing the physical facility, so That's why we have always a profit margin, because right now, even during the dry run stage, we wanted to see what volume and what profit margin is needed to cover for the operating expense, because we don't want for the government to fund the operation of the AgriHub. It should be a standalone project. And that's why we also partnered with a social enterprise to really see how the project will operate in a natural environment. So eventually it will be a public-private partnership or with the government still of Butuan, but it will be operated by a social enterprise so that it can really sustain itself in the long run. So yeah, so that's about it for me.
Thank you very much for the responses, and well done, and good luck for the rest of the project.
Thank you, C.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Hawa, for those interventions. I'd now like to reflect on some of the key takeaways. Thank you all for being a part of today's virtual learning exchange webinar on connecting farmers and connecting farmers and markets in local food system. As we conclude this insightful session, I would look at some of the key takeaways. First and foremost, the two presenters have highlighted some of the pertinent issues that affect small-scale farmers, which include the limited access to finance, agricultural markets and market information or data, limited access to storage facilities, and price volatility. They've also shared with us some solutions to these problems, such as providing farmers with training on scientific agricultural practices for food production, providing farmers with a ready market by linking them directly with buyers through digital platforms, establishing solar-powered cold rooms to preserve farm produce, as well as providing small-scale vendor groups and self-help groups with infrastructure and capacity building support. The solutions they have proposed address the Sustainable Development Goal 2.3, 12.8, and 5.7, which are doubling the productivity and incomes of small-scale food producers, promoting universal understanding of sustainable lifestyles, and equal rights to economic resources, property ownership, and financial services. The presenters have also highlighted some of the challenges they anticipate they will face during the project implementation. For instance, in the case of Butuan, the inability of farmers to meet increasing demand from buyers and existing market channels being unable to absorb farmers' surplus production. Rourkela, on the other hand, also identifies limited skills in the operation and maintenance of cold rooms and erratic power supply in some project sites. I'm sure inputs from our discussions will feed into their final mitigation strategies. Finally, our presenters also acknowledge the partners they are working with. It's interesting that both cities are working closely with partners from the private and public sector to achieve their goals. Public-private partnerships are essential for leveraging the strength of both sectors to achieve efficient, innovative, and sustainable solutions to complex societal challenges. So it's a good way forward. I'm certain the key takeaways from this session can inform decisions on our work and projects we are undertaking. I'll now like to call on Diana Lopez, the partnership specialist, cities and local governments, to give us the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Excellent job to all the speakers. Thank you very much. We've been working on this project for a little while now, and now we're starting to see results, and I love it. Thank you so much. I love to see these practical solutions. This is what we're trying to do with these SDG local action solutions at UNDP, is to bring a specific solution that the cities are implementing to make Agenda 2030 a reality. The SDGs are there for us to use, but also to get inspired, to communicate better what we do. And this is what we want to do with this series. It was very interesting to hear how municipalities are really making concrete interventions to correct these dysfunctionalities of the market. In this case, you are addressing the food market, and the municipality with, let's say, an intervention which is not very big, is a small one in terms of cost. Of course, innovation is always very complicated, and to do anything is very difficult, and it looks very easy from the presentations, and we know that behind there is a lot of effort and day-to-day fight people, with contracts, with the institution, with the system, but still you can see how much it improves the lives of people with the correcting something that it's not working well because nobody's organizing it. So the local government role in this case is how the municipality is really correcting something that is not working, which is bringing the farmers to the consumers, getting them better produce, fresher, more quality, and at better prices. So this is the kind of thing that we talk about when we talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, is bringing different elements that you were bringing, because we are bringing, of course, the food and agriculture, but you know, there is always a question of mobility, how you move. We have seen the tuk-tuks, how you move these vegetables around the city, how then you work in environmental issues that are linked to the farming, to the food production, which is SDG 2. So you're always bringing different aspects of development, and that's not easy. So thank you for being innovators and for being there, pushing the system every day. Just wanted to do a little bit of what's coming next. So next week we will have another very interesting webinar on urban mobility and waste, how the cities of Montevideo, Guatemala, and Hermosillo in Latin America are innovating waste collection and improving urban mobility at the same time. It looks like a contradiction in terms, but it's possible when stubborn people put themselves into work and fight against things that are not working and produce change. So we are going to do something on waste and urban mobility next Monday, 4th of September. And then the next webinar will be on how cities are using data platforms to take better decisions. And of course, how we communicate all this that we are doing to the citizen, which is really key. And that's why Agenda 2030 is also helping municipalities to communicate better what they do, because we need to create trust in the role of local governments and the transformative power that local governments, with a lot of effort, but also with very concrete and small scale interventions, can provoke in society. So that's all for me. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. And then, see you next week. Thanks a lot.